What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today for Genesys Wednesdays I am bringing you another creative profile. This time it is the turn of Elfnote, but it's not just going to be pure Elfnote as the title has suggested, it is also going to be involving the Mannadiums. Now massive shout out to Harvey, who kind of been talking back and forth with me in regards to this kind of combination, and it's just another one that I kind of suggested to a friend, Leo, who used to play Mannadiums when they were at full power. He's now picked up the Elfnotes, and I was like, hey, look, check out this spice. This spice is really kind of cool. So this totals up to exactly 100 points. If you do want to make some changes, you could put in Ghost Bells in here in places of Nibiru's to save you a few more points. But the idea is that what you've got with this deck is you've got a bit of an overlap, because your normal tuners will be your Mannadium cards that are very easily accessible when you've got the planets, and you've also got the Reinhardt as well. But then you also have the Elfnotes themselves that can just summon themselves down for free. Now, in a modern version of this deck, you're probably going to be leaning more towards the Fiendsmith version of the deck, just because the Fiendsmiths can bridge into Elfnotes, Elfnotes can bridge into Fiendsmith very easily, and it's going to give you the biggest competitive reach. So I'm going to take you through the entire main deck, the extra deck, and of course the side deck, all included with this 100 points, just to kind of give you a bit of an insight. And I thought it's something a little bit more creative, a little bit something more unique, and something a bit different. Otherwise, I could just rinse and repeat like Elfnote with Fiendsmith throughout, but I thought this would be kind of cool to do. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving headfirst into the Elfnote monsters themselves, we're going to be starting off with 3 Elfnote Lucina. Now, this card's just insane. They all pretty much have similar effects, that they could be special summoned to the main monster, the center main monster zone, and in doing so, they then get additional effects. So once per turn, you can only special summon them once per turn to the main monster zone, but then this one lets you add an Elfnote monster from the deck to the hand except itself. During your opponent's turn, you get a quick effect to switch this card in your location of this card in your main monster zone and the monster in the center main monster zone, and you get to return a level 6 or lower monster your opponent controls to the hand. So this one gives you the return. Tania is the ultra rare. So again, this one can special summon itself to the center main monster zone. You can switch control of it with the monster in your main monster zone. In doing so, you get to banish face up a random card from your opponent's hand. And this one lets you place an Elfnote continuous spell directly from your deck face up onto the field. And then the last one is the one Fortuna. I'm actually semi-tempted to play this at 2 just because it gets you quicker access to the trap cards, which lets you like kind of survive the grind game a little bit more. But this one, again, lets you place a Elfnote continuous trap card from the hand or deck face up on the field. During your opponent's turn, again, quick effect, you switch this card from the main monster's center main monster zone with the monster in the center main monster zone. And if you do, you get to return a face-up spell trap from the field to the hand. Now, this is the reason that one's played at 1, is it's the less effective for that quick effect switch. You can also use them very easily as synchro fodder. They are level 6 non-tuners. You can very easily access Chaos Angel in this deck, because what makes this the bit of the bridge is your Mannadium the Pure. Now, Mannadium the Pure is the bridge for all Power Patrons and all of the lores that have gone through it, like Doomsies, Archmages, Power Patrons, which will be in the next set, but you won't be able to play in Genesys because it's Pendulums. And the Power Patron that Mannadium the Pure will get you access to is your Elfnote Power Patron. Now, this one's been given 15 points in Genesys, which I was like, whoa, that's quite costly. On the plus side of that one, everything else in Elfnotes is like 0 points, so you're in a good place. So you can't special summon from the extra deck except Synchros. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, target a monster your opponent controls in the main monster zone, in the center main monster zone, increase its level by 3 until the end of this turn. Immediately after the effect resolves, you get to synchro summon an Elfnote synchro monster or a Junaro, the Power Patron of Tuning. If this card is integrated as synchro material, you get to add an Elfnote card from the deck to the hand. Now, in Modern, what you do is Mannadium the Pure, and then of course you get your Power Patron. Those two together go into the Amadeus, I believe it is. And basically that's a level 5 Light Fiend Synchro, which works you into Fiendsmith. In this one, you do have other options, because you can very easily go into your Axel Synchron, and this just gives you the ability to manipulate levels. You send a Jet Synchron from deck to grave, which means you've got another tuner in rotation, and you can kind of build on from there. Then for the Mannadium monsters, we are playing 3 Mannadium Reamheart. So this one is during the main phase. If this card is in the hand, you get a quick effect to target a Mannadium monster you control or a monster you control with 1,500 attack and 2,100 defense. Destroy it, and if you do, special summon this card. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you get to add a Mannadium card from the deck to the hand, except itself. Only use each effect once per turn. So this is like your level 4 non-tuner, and again, you're trying to work your way into Meek. Meek is where the real bridge kind of starts to work out nicely, as this is a level 2 tuner, and if you control Visa Starfrost or a monster with 1,500 attack and 2,100 defense, you special summon this card from the hand. Only special summon it once per turn this way, and if it is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to special summon a Mannadium Meek from the deck, and then you can increase its level by 2. So the one card that I'm currently missing for this list, and I'll make a note of it now as well, I have picked up another copy as well, but it's the Mannadium Trisukata. I'll put the image up on the screen because me and words, you know. But the idea is it's a level 6 synchro that basically these two go together to make, and then of course you can make it in other level 6 routes as well, because it is generic. It just requires a tuner and then a one or more non-tuner monster, and then it lets you target a level 2 in the graveyard. Level 2 tuners specifically in the graveyard, special summon it but negate its effects. You will have 2 tuners on the field at that point, but the idea is that you can work your way into the Visas Aritara, and then you kind of build on from there. So you get to utilise both of these. You also get to utilise Visa Starfrost, so this is your level 6 tuner. And keeping in mind that all your Elfnotes are non-tuners, so that's when that can kind of come into play. Moving on to the Elfnote spells, we're playing 3 Elfnote Welcome Home. So the monster in your center main monster zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. You get to send a monster from your hand or field to the grave to special summon an Elfnote monster with a different original attribute from the deck in defense vision. You can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except synchros, which is absolutely fine. Then I should probably go through the other Elfnotes first, actually. Then we play 2 Elfnote trap cards, one of the Aristia of Trust and one of the Rhapsody of Madness. So Rhapsody of Madness is like your grind card, because while you control a monster in your center main monster zone, your opponent cannot attack except to attack that monster. You can send a monster from your hand or field to the graveyard to target an Elfnote monster in your graveyard with a different original attribute and special summon it. Then if you control a synchro monster, you can negate the effects of a face-up card your opponent controls until the end of this turn. The Trust is once per turn, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, move that monster you control to another, target a face-up monster you control, move that monster you control to another of your main monster zones. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card, while you control 3 or more Elfnote monsters, you get to negate the effect. Then if you control a synchro monster, you get to destroy that card as well. Only use each effect once per turn. You cannot activate this effect of an Elfnote in the same chain. So the idea is it needs to be face up and active on the field already. But then the idea behind the Rhapsody as well is the Rhapsody is just going to give you a lot of grind states, which is going to be very helpful for you. Then for the Fearalize cards, these are like your Archmage cards that utilize Mannadium Pure, but Fearalize is insanely busted. So you send a Mannadium Pure from the deck to the grave to look at the top card of your opponent's deck and place it on the top or bottom of the deck. The benefit of that one is that Mannadium Pure has an effect to put a monster back from the field or hand and then summon it back to the field. So you get more access. You're basically playing like 5 copies of Mannadium Pure. But what also makes this incredibly good, which will be great for Modern as well, is you get to banish this card from the graveyard to target a face-up monster you control, declare 1 monster type and 1 attribute. That monster becomes that type and attribute until the end of your opponent's turn. So you basically banish it, and then you could turn Mannadium Pure into a Fiend Light, which would then go into Fiendless. Then we've got 2 Liberation. So this is the quick play spell card that if you control Mannadium Pure, add to your hand or special summon a monster with 300 attack and 200 defense from the deck. During the main phase, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to then target a face-up monster you control, and it's treated as a tuner this turn. So the benefit of that one, again, is you let you manipulate some of your monsters that are non-tuners and turn them into tuners. And then the final one we play is the 1 Vandalism Assault. So when this card is activated, you add a Mannadium Pure from the deck to the hand, target a face-up monster you control. If that face-up monster would be used as fusion material this turn, it can be treated as an Archmage monster. Only use each effect once per turn. And if an Archmage Academic Arcane Arts would be destroyed by card effect, you send this card you control to the grave instead. The idea is it's just basically your rotor for the Mannadium Pure. Then going back to the Mannadium cards, we're playing 3 Peaceful Planet Calarium. So when this card is activated, you add a Mannadium monster or a Visa Starfrost from the deck to the hand. Light monsters you control gain 100 attack for each tuner you control and in your graveyard. And if a face-up tuner or tuners you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one of those monsters and special summon it. Backed up by the 1 Imaginings and the 1 Obsessions. So your Imaginings, you reveal a Mannadium monster or a Visa Starfrost in your hand, draw 2 cards, place a card from your hand onto the bottom of the deck. You banish this card from the graveyard to target a monster you control with 1,500 attack and 2,100 defense. You can treat it as a tuner until the end of this turn. The Obsession lets you target a monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, add a peaceful planet from the deck to the hand. Or if you already control the planet, you get to add a Mannadium spell or trap instead, except itself. You can banish this card from the graveyard to special summon a Vicious Starfrost or a monster with 1,500 and 2,100 from the hand. Only use each effect once per turn. So again, it's just more ways to get the Ream Heart to the field, but it also means that you can utilize Reframing and everything else in between. Then for our non-engine hand interactors, we've got 2 Nibiru's at 6 points apiece, 2 Ghost Ogres at 3 points apiece, 1 Jet Synchron at 1 point, and then we've got 3 Mulchummy Fuelos just to kind of help you bridge for going second a little bit more effectively. The Jet Synchron is in here purely for that additional tuner that can be sent off of Junk Synchron, but then also being able to move on further from there. So that's it for the entire main deck. I'm now going to show you the extra deck. So as a note, the first card that I'm going to show you as well is the Mannadium monster that I'm currently missing. I definitely have one somewhere, I just couldn't find it, and it was probably me trying to be like creative and put it in like a Synchron deck, and I've just completely misplaced it. But basically it's a level 6 monster, and as I've already mentioned, just want to go over this at the exact same time, if it's Synchro summoned, you target a level 2 tuner in your graveyard and special summon it. You negate its effects, you target any number of tuners you control, change their levels to 2. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Synchros, which is absolutely fine. And it's basically just a level 6 tuner that helps you bridge a little bit more. The ones that I do have access to is you've got the one Genora, the Power Patron of Tuning. So it requires a tuner and then 2 or more non-tuners. For this card, Synchro Summon, you get to treat a monster in your center main monster zone as a tuner. If it's Synchro Summoned, you get to negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls. Quick effect, you can activate this effect. Monsters your opponent controls in the same column as Elfnote monsters you control cannot be used as material for a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link until the end of the turn. Only use this effect once per turn. But the idea is, what you're trying to do with Elfnotes with this is you're trying to make them very, very control. You want to utilize the Mannadium monsters to be your Synchro fodder, and then sometimes you might want to use your Elfnote monsters to be those Synchro fodder and then bring them back. But they just very easily flood the board, quite like Mech Knights. 1 Chaos Angel, so Medius the Pure, and then you can also make this with, so you jump ahead, your Fortuna as well. So Fortuna plus Medius the Pure can help you get there. There are some extra deck monsters as well that you can manipulate, just being lights and darks, and can really help you out. Crystal Wing, then got the Axel Synchron Stardust into Stardust Dragon, Visas Aritara, and then we've got 2 Elfnotes. So the benefit of this one is it's a level 7 Synchro. And what this is going to allow you to do is its original attack becomes 3,000 while it is in the center main monster zone. During the main phase quick effect, you get to special summon a level 6 or lower Elfnote monster from the hand or graveyard. Then you get to reduce the level of all level 4 or higher monsters on the field by 3 until the end of this turn. You can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Synchros. And then on top of that as well, you can only use each effect once per turn. The idea is that it just becomes 3,000, which is quite useful, and then being able to special summon an Elfnote monster from the hand or graveyard can be really, really useful, because then that straight away gives you 2 Elfnotes you have on the field, 2 different attributes, and you build on from there. And then, of course, if you want to, you can kind of change the position of this one with your Elfnotes, so you just make sure you put it in defense if you're going to do that, and then when you go back to the main phase, you can obviously switch them around as well, or like back to your turn, you can switch them around. We've then got Zolian, the Shackled Dragon. So this one will really easily be made off of the back of the Axel Synchron. But the other is it's just a really nice negator as well. Plus, it does take up 10 points, which you have a bit of space to deal with anyway. The final card that you're actually going to summon and play will be your Visas Astrolaud. So it requires Visas Starfrost and a monster with 1,500 and 2,100 defense. It can be special summoned from the extra deck by banishing the above cards from the field and or grave. So once you've got your Visas Aritara, Starfrost in the graveyard, and then you also have your Room Heart, you get to banish both of those, and then you get this boss monster on the field. It also has the ability that it can't be destroyed by battle, and if it's special summoned, you get to target one other monster on the field and destroy it. If you do, this card gains attack equal to half that monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher, so it just becomes a lot harder for them to run over. And when you're looking at Genesys, being able to have a monster like this can be very, very powerful. The last 3 targets are literally just Ultimate Slayer targets in Malong, Garura, and Adjugator. So that's it for the entire extra deck. Like I said at the start, and trying to remember as well, I don't have access to the Mannadium, so I've just put an image up on the screen for you, just so that I don't be like, oh, it's a 14 card extra deck. It's like, no, I would play that, I just don't have a copy. Moving into the side deck is pretty generic for Genesys. So 3 Ultimate Slayer, 3 DD Crow, 3 Dark of Order No More, Cosmic Cyclone, and Kaiju. Like, I don't need to go over these much. They're all 0 points themselves. You could put some of these in the main deck if you wanted to. Honestly, I don't know what you would want to take out. Ghost Ogres are probably a little bit of a question, whether you feel you need them or not. I feel that Fuelos is kind of like, at 7 points, it's kind of worth it, and it's kind of needed to be played, just because it causes a lot of issues. If you do find your environment being like a deck that is like Eldritch, for example, that don't want to lean into Fuel Loss as much, then by all means, take it out. That frees you up 21 points to do as and when you wish with. But that is pretty much it for the entire profile. Like I said, I think Themesmith in Modern is the best way of doing it, or like Advanced is normal, is the best way of doing it, without a shadow of a doubt. But I thought that this was a very creative approach from Harvey, which is why all credit goes to Harvey on this one as well. I thought it was something a little bit different, something a little bit spicy, something a little bit creative, and I wanted to give it a trial out, and I thought that it fell within Genesys the best, because it didn't really take up a lot of points, and if you wanted to adapt this to be for Advanced as well, like Modern, you can very easily take out, you basically just add in Cross Sheep and you make a couple of adaptations to the deck. But that being said, really, really fun deck. I like the idea behind it. It's going to be very interesting to see what Elfnotes can do in general, but I also still really like the idea that that the Elfnotes are kind of like Mech Knights. They remind me of Mech Knights, which is really fun. And I like the idea that it's kind of giving Leo something more to concentrate on and to work with, and you can play Elfnotes with Archmages, you can play Elfnotes with Themesmith, as already pre-mentioned. You could probably also play them with Mannadiums, as you've seen, and there's a couple of other creative options you can open up the door to if you want to go down that route as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions at all, put them in the comments down below. Myself, or maybe even Harvey, will be more than happy to answer them for you. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.